Okay, everyone, please bow. Join your palms. Bow.
这个可以讲是吧？哦，很好。还是讲中文好了。我们现在要讲那个默照的6层次啊。
I will be talking about the 6 layers of silent illumination.
师父最早好像讲4个或是5个啊，那我是采用6个层次啊。第一个层次是放松身心，第2是体验呼吸，第3是观全身或是观整体啊。那第4个是观环境，那第5个是直观，第2个空观。
第5个是直观。
直观，
直观
direct。
So the master said there are 4 or 5 layers to silent illumination, but here we'll talk about the 6 layers of silent illumination. The first layer is to relax your body and mind. The second is to experience your
就体验呼吸进出。
experience the inhale and exhale of your breath. And the third layer is to observe your body. And the fourth layer is to investigate totality. Fifth, direct contemplation. And the sixth being contemplation on emptiness.
应该第4是contemplate the external environment。
The fourth one is contemplating on the external environment.
就是台湾叫第3个层次，台湾叫做观全身，那英文翻成观整体。
In Taiwan, we say investigate the whole body, but in English, we say investigate into totality.
好，那我们再细讲，然后再来分别。放松身心，就是你姿势做好以后，你就从眼球、脸部我们叫扫描放松那若是有哪里紧，你就放松，可能你怎么放松都放松不了，你就跳过像我们有忧郁症的，有一个人忧郁症，他好几个月，我请他笑给我看，他就是因为长期的什么担忧他那个已经肌肉僵硬的，要放松，放不松，他好像练了3个月，才什么笑得比一般人还放松所以你放不松，你就跳过。
So for the first layer, relaxing body and mind, we will use the method of scanning over the body, your eyes, your eyebrows, the face muscles, etc. And it's a process of going from tenseness to looseness. And if you can't loosen up your body or muscle, it's okay. You can just skip it. We had a case where a practitioner is diagnosed with depression, and because they suffered from long-term worry, their muscle became very tense and couldn't relax. But after 3 months of practice, they were able to relax the muscles eventually. The idea here is if you can't relax the muscles, it's okay to skip it.
还有比如说我曾经不自觉的耸肩那我发觉了以后我就放松，可是你没注意有什么耸起来了我想应该蛮多人有这种经验，所以 一个是你放了松，但是你的习惯性又跑回去了，那就要多练习。
The other example is our shoulders tend to be very tense without our awareness. Once you're aware of it, you may relax it, but because of your habitual tendency, it will tighten up again.
那这个我们现在就是应该现在很多人都是低头族可能不只是年轻的人我们这边你认为你是低头族的，请举手。
If you detailed, if you think you are on your phone a lot, raise your hand.
希望人都没有。哇，好。那你长期这样子的话，你现在要放松，不可能它就松掉了，它那个紧绷要时间的
If you are this way consistently, you can't relax at an instant, so it takes time for you to relax.
所以就是什么，你就建立一个新习惯。那新习惯跟旧习惯两者什么会拉扯？一个是旧习惯要慢慢的去什么，去让什么我们这什么筋肉疏通要时间所以你就接受它。
So here you're establishing a new habit, and it will cause tension with your old habits, and old habits take time to diminish and eventually disappear. In this case, for example, your muscles and meridians, they would take time to loosen up.
那我们在放松比较难的部位大概有4个：眼球，或是脸部，还有肩膀，还有腹部。
So there are 4 relatively difficult parts. The 4 parts that are relatively difficult to relax. That is your eyeball, your face muscles, your abdomen, and your shoulders.
就是 element 就是那个，
Right. Your abdomen.
对对对对，就是单这个腹部
Abdomen. Abdomen.
那眼球的放松跟我们的妄想有关系通常，譬如说，我想到一只鸟，那我眼睛其实会起那个鸟的色相，对不对？这是我们凡夫已经变成个习惯所以当你有因为妄念来那起鸟的色相或起今天的色相，那你就要用我们叫做什么？你要用触觉。就眼睛本来是视觉的功能，你现在眼睛就触觉，所以触觉说你眼睛什么有没有用力那你还是妄念很多嘛那你不要配合妄念的画面去看。
So for our eyeball, for example, it's relatively difficult to relax because it is controlled by our deluded thoughts. If we think of a bird, the image of a bird in our mind, for example, 取色相它是取色相
取色相就是说你会注意那个色相，那你只要色相的话，你眼睛一定配合的。或是 focus 对
So
image
pay attention to. You will take the you will take the image of the bird as the center of your consciousness, and therefore, your eyeball would move accordingly, and that's the habitual tendency we have as ordinary people. So again, the deluded thoughts lead to us grabbing onto the forms, such as the image of the bird, and to counter that tendency, we will use our touch 触觉
触觉
contact awareness of
or the
contact.
sensation of your body.
We'll use the sensation of the body. In this case, you can ask yourself, am I exerting forces on my muscles around my eye socket? And if you are, then relax it. The idea is not to go with your deluded with your deluded thoughts.
那我自己的经验，我曾经有一阵子我的眼球要透过眼球去看东西的注意力全部被抽走了，所以我眼球是没有聚焦的看，但是还是可以看，不会撞墙不会跑到水沟去，但是我是没有焦点的。假设你的心完全没有透过眼睛去看，就有这种现象会发生。
可是这是您在打坐的时候的。
我们的那个是我参话头，不是我用试炼柱，就是将那个默照，不是那个是用话头，我要去看，要去感觉身体的注意力全部被抽走了，所以那个经验还蛮不错的就是没有焦点的看当然身体也不见了
So when Fashi speaking from his personal experience, when he was practicing Huatou method, he feels that his entire spectrum of attention has been withdrawn, leading to a sight.
不是 you need to invest 这个话头，就是你要看的注意力全部被抽走了，抽去探究佛这个什么话头。
就是在参话头的时候，
参话头的时候，你眼睛要去看的那个注意力全部被抽走，抽到
话头上，
抽到话头上去了，所以你没有半点注意力在那个摄像上。
Because the entirety of the attention is has gravitated towards the center of the critical phrase, 话头. The eyesight loses its center and became blurry. That's because the mind is completely occupied with the method itself.
所以就是眼球第二个是脸部我不晓得，因为我脸部肌肉常常就是不会像小朋友你把它压下去像面包这样子你们要不要压干？你们有没有像面包？有啊，有的请举手，像面包这样子。2位3位，我压下去像那个像那个什么牛肉这样硬硬的了。
Fashu was just asking everyone if your face, when you touch it, feels like bread. If you are, then raise your hand. That's what happened.
反正你这样如果是硬硬的，就没有办法像小孩子，你给他摸下去，它像那个什么，像那花什么花的那个面包嘛，是不是？小朋友你
for young children, when you touch it, feels very soft, like bread.
当然，另外一个我觉得，因为脸部的肌肉跟你的，我们就中医脸部的肌肉跟我们的那个胃，我们有那个什么胃经它假如你胃不好，这边大概也很难
调理胃不好，脸就容易紧了。
因为它这个地方本身是胃经，它是整个胃经会到这个地方来，对不对？这个中医在这边嘛那你胃不好，这边很难松
Right. So according to Chinese medicine, the face muscles are connected to the stomach meridian. And when your stomach meridian is tense, your face muscles are also tense.
所以你脸部的肌肉就这样子嘛，像那个馒头这样松开
So you would loosen it up.
哦，好，这是第二个啊，第三个是颈部，颈部我是把它串成一个哈，颈部、肩膀，因为它这边有一条肌肉哈，应该医生哈，从这边是这样子的哈，所以你放松颈部，应该是整条肌肉啊，就是你这个地方打直啊，就颈部打直，那从这边你整个放松啊，大概会紧的部分是关节啊，我们是手肘，还有那一个什么，这个叫什么手腕啊，还有这个地方啊，颈部它是一条肌肉的，所以你就松掉，松掉应该你会发觉有一股紧的气会这样流出来，但是你也不自觉的可能有什么又紧了，所以要一直去感觉它，一直让那个紧的气透过手指头什么散出去啊。
So now we'll get to the shoulder muscle, including the muscles around our neck. So the muscles in this area is actually connected. So your neck muscle, your shoulder muscle, all the way to your arms and extending to your fingers. They are all connected. And when you loosen them up, you can feel a qi energy stretching from your neck to the all the way to your fingers. So because of our habits, when we practice meditation, we may tighten up again. The idea is to relax it so that the qi from your neck muscle could consistently flow to your fingers.
还有颈部啊，我们颈部如果气通的时候是这样子的，是像佛头这样子，是这样子是一直线的哈。那你因为颈部把它打直，不低头也不抬头，你这个地方基本上是我们说叫做伸展，或是叫做紧，那没关系，你就是肌肉让它来，有点像是什么？就是说我把手伸直，对不对？手掌伸直，你就发觉手掌这个肌肉是被伸展的。所以你不要以为，你不要用肌肉有没有松来衡量你有没有放松，这是错的啊。而是你伸展的话，这肯定是什么？可能这个肌肉是被伸展的，那跟你平常这样有没有松松的？你不要用松松的来衡量，因为等一下讲到腹部也是一样哈。
So when the qi meridian that extends from your neck to the fingers is free flowing, your body would naturally be in the perpendicular line. So this is, I suppose, during your sitting meditation, your head is either dropping or your head is not either bending forward nor backward. It forms a straight line, and it's also stretching. When we examine our body, whether it's in a relaxed state or not, we don't judge by the looseness of the muscles per se. For example, the palm muscle may be really like
就它 stretching， 所以这个肌肉基本上是被拉的，是那一个的。那你不要用这个软软的来衡量，因为软软的衡量，你就会把那个什么骨头拉弯。
So take the palm muscle, for example. If it's stretching properly, it's you can say it's stiff. It's not completely loose. If on the other hand, it is in a very loose state, it might not necessarily be a good outcome because it will bend the bones, your finger bones, and that I guess could lead to some detrimental effects.
另外一个那个 我们讲说这个腰部也是一样，腰部打直哦，你会感觉你的那个腹部的肌肉是被什么被伸展的，或是有时候叫做紧嘛。这时候你要等于是也是一样，比如像我手伸直，你这边的肌肉就被伸展了，然后你就让肌肉来适应这种伸展的感觉。同样，你的腰有没有？你的腰一拉开了，这边是伸展，有些人是松的，但是要是你腰本来是弯腰驼背，你就觉得松松的，不要用肌肉的松来衡量，而是什么？我这边是我用肌肉让腰椎打直，接下来我的肌肉要来适应这种被伸展的感觉。那好，先讲到这边呢。
So now we're getting to waist, the muscles area around the waist. So when you're stretch your waist, your abdomen stretch accordingly. The idea is to allow the muscles to get used to that stretching feeling. So when again, going back to the idea, you can judge a good posture by the looseness of the muscles. That is not the idea. The idea is to have your body stretch properly. In this case, have your waist stretch properly, and allow the muscle to adjust accordingly.
那你刚开始是用腹部的肌肉让腰椎打直，对不对？你刚开始是用腹部的肌肉让腰椎打直，接下来你就用心去感觉腰椎是打直的，然后你的腹部的肌肉是挂在腰椎的什么？我们叫猪肉挂在那个什么上面啊？你卖猪肉的吗？还是挂的啊？就说你第一个你一定是用腹部的肌肉才能够把腰椎打直，对不对？第一个是用力的，那腰椎打直以后，你就用你的心念感觉我是腰椎打直的，那接下来两边的腹部的肌肉就挂在这个腰椎上，来让它去伸展。
So you would use your abdomen muscle to stretch and to extend your waist to make it straight. So that's a function of the abdomen muscle. And after you do that, use your mind, use your consciousness or feeling to perceive that stretchness, that stretching feeling.
You feel stretching of your
Yeah, you feel the stretching caused by your abdomen muscle. Just if I was use the analogy, just like the pork hanging, I guess,
on the 支架上的时候挂在那个什么
muscle. I find hand on the frame. So again, abdomen muscle, use the abdomen muscle to straighten up the waist and feel the stretch. Use your mind.
另外，你也可以感觉我们的腰的两侧是可以放松的，因为前面会紧，但是腰两侧是松的啊。
And you can also feel the flanks, the two sides of your waist is relaxed, even though the front of it is not is stretching.
那你腰椎打直也不要说刻意的这样非常直，这样子好像打直就好了。你这样子就大概很难说不用什么这个腹部的肌肉来支撑这个打直，就你打直以后，然后就什么，你感觉是直的，然后让什么，让这个腹部的肌肉来适应这种伸展的感觉，就是挂着吊在猪肉挂在那个什么那个支架上啊。
So when you're stretching your waist, your spine, you don't put in too much force. The idea is after you reach the balance of when you're stretching, you allow your abdomen muscle to adjust to that straightness, just like the pork hanging below a frame.
好，那我们说放松身心啊，身体刚才已经讲过了啊，那心一个大原则啊，我们心会取向，会抓你喜欢的，然后讨厌你不舒服的啊，那我们的心就是放掉什么？追求跟排斥，就是心要放掉追求心跟排斥心。
So now we have went over the relaxation on the body. Now we turn to relaxation of the mind. The habitual tendency of our mind is to grasp onto things it like and avert things that it dislike. So the relaxation of the mind is about letting go of that attachment of liking and disliking.
通常我们在禅修啊，比较高的会追求开悟啊。先不要讲最高的，通常我们一般人，我们大家可能都不是第一次禅修哈。第一次禅修的人呢，不知道要追求什么，也不知道要排斥什么，所以没得追求跟排斥，所以常常会打得很好。
So for us practitioners, the ones that aim high would aim for enlightenment, but often for us as ordinary practitioners, we don't have such high hopes. For those who, for those meditation beginners, because they don't have such a mind of desiring a certain object, usually they can perform better.
所以，心就是说，不要追求宁静，不要排斥妄念，啊，这是心念的啊。
So for our mind, we don't desire the peacefulness per se, and we don't reject deluded thoughts.
另外呢，不要追求腿不痛，讨厌腿痛。
Also, likewise, we don't aim for comfortability on our knees and legs, and hating the discomfort when meditating.
这大概应该要禅修的人很难避免，那没关系啊。你建立一个新习惯，我就是什么？我就是定义让它痛，但是我没有讨厌腿痛，喜欢什么？喜欢腿不痛。我的话，有些人就是在撑的，基本上是身体是紧的，腿是紧的，对不对？那如果说好，我撑下去是我不讨厌，也不喜欢，当然也不撑说等于还要几分钟，不是啊？就一辈子都不敲云磬，我就是练习不讨厌不讨厌腿会不痛，我腿会痛，也不希望腿痛，希望腿就是舒畅，用这种态度啊。
It is admittedly, it's very hard for our ordinary practitioners to avoid such liking and disliking, but it's all about establishing new habits. If your leg is hurting, let it hurt. Don't grow attachment to comfortability, liking the comfort state of your body and hating the discomforts. So you can reach a state of either hating or liking. Also, be patient. Even though the mindset, the ideal mindset here would be, even though even the chime wouldn't ring for eternity, that means even if I'm sitting here for a really, really long time, I don't look forward to the end of the session, and I do not grow impatient.
那实在很痛了，你就放腿啊。但是我还是保持不追求腿不痛，或者追求舒服，排斥不舒服。
If it really hurts, then it's okay to relax your legs, but the idea is still is not attaching to comfortability.
那这个是放松身心，但是呢，我们的心念还是会追求排斥，没关系，你化解了，我就什么，我建立一个新态度，不追求不排斥。那不注意的话，又追求排斥，没关系，这两者要什么？你要照顾，不追求不排斥啊，那少去什么护习，追求跟排斥。
So in this process of relaxing our mind, the essence is to establish a new attitude toward our natural feelings. The attitude we want to cultivate is not aiming for one state, one corporeal state, and rejecting the other state.
好，那第一个你放松身心以后，第二个就几次以后，你就再怎么放就是这样子而已。那你就体验呼吸。我知道有些人他们从头到尾要把它松到怎么松，所以要整支香，搞不好整个气都在放松，也可以。但我们比较建议说，你身体已经松了，或是放不松了，接下来就要什么调心啊？体验呼吸本身是调心，通常身跟心它是一体的啊。身体放不松，你就来调心，因为心安静，身体会松。那身体松也会导致心帮你比较少，心安定。所以我们第二个就是体验呼吸，它就从散乱变成比较专注或比较一心。
And the second step after relaxation of body and mind is to experience the breath. And the purpose of experiencing breath is to harmonize our mind. 调心感 regulating.
Regulate 它是
adjust our mind so that it turns from a scattered mind to a concentrated mind. And our body and mind is so closely connected that by adjusting the mind, our body would naturally be relaxed as well, and vice versa. If our body is relaxed, our mind can reach into a more peaceful state.
那通常大部分的禅修方法也是修定就是一个大原则，就是用一个有时候我们叫所缘境，或是一个禅修的专注对象，取代乱七八糟的妄念，或是说用一根取代6根。
When we're cultivating samadhi in our meditation, we use a meditation object as the center of our concentration, and we use that meditation object in replacement of our deluded thoughts. In other words, we're using one faculty in replacement of 6 faculties.
好，那体验呼吸原则上是什么？你只是知道呼吸从鼻孔，可能是接触你的那个鼻孔下面有那个什么，这个叫什么？ 这叫什么
人中
啊？不是人中，这边的皮肤是吧？肌肉，嘛，鼻子下面的有一些肌肉嘛，哈。那大概有2个，一个是呼吸接触鼻端下面肌肉的接触了，呼吸接触这个鼻端下面肌肉的感觉，这是一种；另外一个是冷跟热。
So what do we actually practice when we experience our breath? A focal point to bring our attention to is the muscles below our nostril. And there are two parts, two elements that we want to focus on. That is the sensation of our breath, the air going through and going in and out above this area, this muscle. And the second is the temperature, the coldness or hotness around this area.
然后在呼吸的进出啊，基本上是自然呼吸，不要想把呼吸拉长、拉慢、拉细啊。它粗知道粗，然后它细或是短就知道短，因为我们的呼吸是显是反映你内心还有你的身体的需求，所以你要自然的呼吸啊，不要用人工啊，不要用人工加工啊。
When we're observing our breath, we allow the inflow and outflow of our breath to come naturally. We don't want to elongate or shorten or make it thinner. The idea is to let our breath be in their natural state, natural rhythm, and our awareness would allow us to know when our breath is short. We know it is short. When it's long, we know it is long. So on and so forth. And breath reflects our internal mind state and our needs. So we need to keep it natural without adding artificial control.
这里面大概也讲一下那个身、息、心三者关系哈。就身体松，心安定，你的呼吸就会深长细慢均匀。
您再说一遍
啊，
深
深长细慢均匀。
细慢均匀，
均匀就是很均，
均匀
就是什么，不会忽快忽慢这样子啊，很平静，或是那个长度是一样的。
深长深是
深吸得很深，不是很浅。
啊，这是在身体松，然后心定之后，息就会变成
身体都是松，那心也安定，那呼吸
就是
会深长细慢均匀。
OK， so the interconnection between body and body, mind, and breath is very pronounced. When our body is relaxed and our mind is concentrated, our breath would be deep, long, thin, slow, and even.
那相反的，身体紧，心很乱，呼吸大概就是什么相反的短、浅、急，还有深长细慢、快、不均匀。
On the contrary, if our body is tense and our mind scattered, our breath would be shallow, short, thick, quick, and uneven.
那原则上，我们是调心为主啊。那有一些瑜伽是透过呼吸拉长，还有身体放松，达到调心的目的啊。
So our central purpose here is to adjust the mind, to regulate the mind. And some yoga practitioners would use the relaxation of the mind, relaxation of the body, stretching the body, and elongating the breath to achieve this purpose.
但是主要还是要调心的，因为比如你调呼吸，然后让心非常安定。如果眼前别个人拿着枪对你啊，我想你要呼吸很慢才很难，或是眼前你的老婆刚好跟一个陌生人在你面前做什么，大概什么呼吸很深了都没用了哈。
So again, our central idea here is to regulate the mind and achieve peacefulness. In certain scenarios, it's not that hard. It's not that easy to maintain a regulated breath. For example, when you see your wife is flirting with a stranger, it's not that easy to maintain a slow breathing in that case.
那呼吸，我们在体验呼吸啊，经典有一个讲法，就是说你有点像是守门员，那呼吸有点像是进出旅馆的什么的旅客。有人进来了，你发觉有人进来了，你在门这个地方，哦，有个人进来了，他去房间去哪里不管，有人出去了，你知道他出去了，你不用管他出去哪里，所以不要管他说他是不是到腹部到胸部不管，或者负责呼吸进呼吸出。
So we'll here use the analogy. We'll compare you, the meditation practitioner, as the reception desk in a hotel. As a reception, you don't, and our breath are guests of this hotel. So when the guests come, you don't ask where they came from, and when they leave the hotel, you don't inquire about their destinations. It is the same attitude we should adopt for our breath. When breath comes, we don't ask its origin, and when it goes out, we don't ask where it go.
那这样子的你体验呼吸以后早期似乎是要你体验到，早期似乎是用数息，你们用数息也可以如果你念头很多，用数息也可以，那到最后变成随息。那早期似乎是你数息数到呼吸非常微细，你也没办法数了。接下来你不知道怎么办，那师父就会给你两种方法，一个就是画头，什么是无，那一个就是什么，像是默照。早期没有师父没有用默照的名称，叫做什么？你很清楚的，你是没有妄念的状态，很清楚叫做照，没有妄念叫什么？叫做默。你就处在那种状态就好了，清楚自己没有妄念，这样子就好了。
So when we practice meditation at the beginning, we'll start with the method of counting breath, and then we'll continue with that. Continuing with that method, we'll progress into following the breath. And when we encounter a state when our breath becomes so thin that we are no longer able to count it, then the master suggests two methods. The first one is hua tou, for example, what is wu? And the second is silent illumination. And at the first, Master Shengyan didn't use the name of silent illumination. He describes this method as you clearly, the practitioner, you clearly know that you are devoid of wandering thoughts. You don't have any deluded thoughts. And that clear awareness of the absence of deluded thoughts is zhao, illumination. and that state where you're free from deluded thoughts is silence more.
但是很多人呢，就是修了半天7天呢，也都不到那个境界哈。所以像我以前我很喜欢禅修，可是默照话头都没有我的份了，所以我自己就是另外自己唱话头来自己修默照。所以师父现在就说，如果你心比较安定，妄念不是很多，偶尔有，你就可以转到第3个观整体或者观全身，那是一个非常关键的啊。从呼吸到观全身是一个讲实话是很难的，因为不容易抓到。
所以这个和默照和话头的关系是什么？
我们先不管话头，我们现在就默照，默照第2个层次到第3个层次是一个主要的关键。
就是在练默照的时候，当心非常安定，然后妄念也不多的时候，这个时
对，
候就
到观全身，这个是非常的一个是定，一个是慧。
OK，when I, so we'll analyze silent illumination. When we practice silent illumination, and our mind becomes very peaceful, very settled, and we are we keep ourselves away from all the deluded thoughts. So very limited deluded thoughts. We can transition into the third method, that is investigation on totality. It is the step from observing the breath to observing the whole body, observing totality, is a rather big one, a very big step to take. Frankly, it is very difficult to achieve this transition, because in that observing totality, the practice of samadhi and the practice of wisdom is combined together.
那第3个就是观全体或者观全身啊，很重要的一个就是你不要注意局部，不要注意局部。通常我们的心都是注意局部，或是说我们是有对象的知，像那个观呼吸是有对象的嘛，可是观全身是没对象的，是太阳的普照，没对象的照。
When we practice observing totality, investigating totality, it is very important that we keep in mind not paying attention to parts, because focusing on the parts signals an existence of an object, that there is something to be investigated, something to be known. For example, when you are observing your breath, the breath is that object. But when you practice investigation of the whole body, investigation of totality, it is like the sun partially shining on all things without a restricted object.
它就有点像是探照灯啊，我们这灯对不对？你若是有一个灯罩，它就照一个什么一个局部的对象。那我们的心呢，其实我们是有好多好多的灯罩啊。你要把所有的灯罩拿掉，就会像太阳的普照。太阳的普照是没有要照哪里，你看太阳有没有？你说太阳在照你吗？没有。所以我们叫默照叫做不处视而知啊。另外我就讲说，它是太阳的照，叫做知下面一个日，有没有？ 智慧有没有？太阳的普照，那个普照不是我照整体哦，不是，是不碰触任何对象才会整体的呈现，不是一个大的整体，大的探照灯哦，很多人会我照整体，错误。
就是灯 cover the cover. Okay. I see. Um, so well, 稍等看，最开始说局部，
那灯是我们灯本来是无所不照嘛，但是你把它弄一个灯罩，它就整个照对不对？
Okay. Uh, take take a light for example. Or a lamp. It supposedly it would shine on all objects without partiality, but when you put a cover on it, its scope of radiance become limited and only shines on a certain area, a certain part. But if we were to look at the sun, it shines on everything with no distinction. But there's uh, um, also a caveat that need to be addressed. When we use the sun as an analogy, we don't mean that it shines on everything and everything being just a greater object. And we're still giving it a scope of radiance. When we use the sun as an analogy, we mean that the light, the radiance from the sun doesn't touch anything in particular, doesn't make contact with specific things, and anything and everything is being illuminated on. This again we can see from the Chinese character 智, meaning wisdom, and dissected into two parts. The upper part means 知, knowing, and the bottom part means 日, the sun. And the gist of practicing silent illumination 是不处视而知. Is to know without making contact with specific things.
好，那我们因为第三个是观整体，但是整体太多了，所以我们先缩小范围，但是那个原则是一样的，缩小我们有色声香味触法，对不对？现在我们把它缩小，眼耳鼻舌对应的色声香味先不碰，先回到身体跟意根，身根跟意根。
Because the totality is consisted of too many elements, we'll first limit and minimize the scope of our attention. So we would not be concerned with all the six faculties, eyes, ear, nose, etc. But rather we would draw our attention specifically to the two faculties, that is the faculty that is our body and our consciousness.
那我们身体身根跟意根，身体有各种酸痛痒麻，各种感觉，还有呼吸啊，呼吸是细的身体啊，酸痛痒麻是粗的身体。另外，我们的意根有各种妄念，那就以这个为范围。那你不要特别注意腿痛，也不要特别注意妄念，但是呢，我们不自觉的会哇，腿好痛，对不对？被他拉去了，或是跟着妄念跑了。那当你发觉以后，师父讲说知道就好，啊，不要 不要跟，也不要压妄念。
So this scope of our two faculties, our body and our consciousness, just to elaborate, our body consists of our feelings. That includes very refined feelings such as our breath, and also consists of coarse feelings such as our bodily discomforts, the pains in our legs, for example. And to our consciousness, it encompasses all of our deluded thoughts. So at first, when we practice observing totality, we would be we can be only concerned with these two parts. So our body, that's consisted of feelings, etc., and our consciousness that is consisted of deluded thoughts. And we don't pay special attention to any particularities. We don't say investigate a certain thought. And the gist here is not following those particularities, but also not suppressing them either.
那我这样说，第三个观全身是一个智慧哦，其他的前面比较是修定哦。那智慧你要修智慧，大概就是有两个主要的，就是什么？我注意不碰触任何东西，就会断无明。你有对象就是无明，没有对象叫做妙明，很妙的功能叫做妙明。
So we are practicing observing the whole body or observing totality. I'll be using these two words interchangeably. We're cultivating wisdom. Because when you observe totality, you are not paying attention to certain objects, and you are not making contact with particularities. And that leads to severance with ignorance. Because as long as we have an object of concentration, an object of an object of knowledge, it is ignorance. It is defined as ignorance. And if we are devoid of an object of knowledge, that is called
wondrous illumination.
Wondrous illumination.
好，那一个是破无明，另外是破贪嗔。你看到腿痛，因为有对象嘛，就是无明。那喜欢不痛，讨厌痛叫贪嗔。还有喜欢没妄念，讨厌有妄念。所以我们很多人都在修什么勤修贪嗔痴啊，熄灭什么戒定慧。你讲，那我看看是不是。我这样回来。
So when we're practicing observing totality without special attention to particularities, we're severing ourselves from ignorance. The reason being that if we instead pay attention to particularities such as our like pains, we'll develop liking and disliking, and thereby generating aversion, hatred, impatience, etc. And it is only natural for us to do that. That is why a lot of people are actually, when they're practicing, they're actually cultivating their greed, aversion, ignorance, and diminishing their precepts, concentration and wisdom.
According to our schedule, 1 hour. Unfortunately, with translation, it's only half an hour of lecture. So he only got to the third stage. So I have a survey. The next hour should be practicing the method he just taught, the meditation. So afternoon, and then it will be lunch, and then afternoon, the lecture should be Huatou. So I want to take a survey if you want to then go to Huatou or you want to finish the other 3 stages. Now, the other 3 stages are higher level, and he's spoken the most important first 3 level. So those of you who prefer to, in the afternoon, to ask the Venerable to give methods on Huatou, or you want to finish the other 3. So I'm going to take a survey by raising your hand. Those who want to continue the silent illumination, please raise your hand. And can you count? Okay, please. Now those who wish to listen to Huatou, please raise your hand. One thing, either way, we take this decision either way, we can sincerely invite Guo-Xing Fashi Venerable to come back next year to make up the difference. The illuminating silence has a little bit more people raise their hand. Or one more thing we can do is forego the sitting and then do the lecture. But this would be too many choices. And I know a lot of you come here for meditation. So sounds like the decision is to continue the silent illumination teacher after the lunch. Okay, and then
对，好了是吧？好了，没有，我知道，我来告诉你们哈。其实默照比华佗还难。
Let me tell you, actually, silent illumination is more difficult than practicing Huatou.
因为大家觉得华佗难，默照比较容易，所以我是看到很多人在修默照的时候，他是让自己没有妄念，这是错的。
Because I see many people think that silent illumination is easier than Huatou, and when they're actually practicing silent illumination, their purpose is to achieve a state devoid of deluded thoughts.
还有就是说，第3个层次是关键的层次，第3个层次会了以后，后面噼里啪啦的，你就已经成功了一半了。你的第3个你有做到了，第4个、第5个不够是什么？我们台湾叫做什么？叫做如果入经哈，从士官升到什么尉官，那是难的；那从尉官升到什么将官是难的，那个是很关键的哈。
Oh, I'm sorry. The previous section, when Fasha said a lot of people when practice in silent illumination, they try to achieve a state devoid of deluded thoughts, and that is incorrect. And for silent illumination, when you reach the 3rd stage, which is the most important stage, the remaining 2 stages, the 4th and 5th, would be not too difficult to conquer.
就是我只是要先厘清哦，其实两者我的经验是画头比较容易，但是大家的经验是觉得画头比较难，因为抓不到。他觉得墨照比较容易，其实他还没抓到。
And here I just want to, Fasher wants to clarify certain things. That people may think Huatou is harder because they can have a full understanding of the practice itself. And these people may think that silent illumination is easier, and the reason they may think so is because they don't really get the idea, the gist, the correct way of practicing silent illumination.
Prefer to go according to the plan instead of changing the plan. I know that the Venerable usually give very good detail, which is wonderful this morning. Just relaxation alone has tremendous detail. I suggest that we practice that and then still go to our plan. And next year we can pick one subject and go in depth. But the third is already difficult. So even if we know the rest, probably we won't practice it today. So that would be my suggestion. So with my persuasion, I'm going to have one more survey. So those who are in favor of going according to our original plan, please raise your hand.
等一下，我等一下，等一下啊！你要调查之前，我的长期经验墨照是不用画头的画头，画头是用画头的墨照。
And according to my experience of practice, silent illumination is the Huatou method without the Huatou, whereas the Huatou method is the silent illumination with Huatou.
还有另外一个是什么？画头你用到一个层次以后，它会跟墨照衔接啊，这是第一个。第二个师父讲说，如果你墨照已经变成一潭死水，要用话头把你救出来。若话头进入什么黑山鬼窟，要用墨照把你救出来，两个是互救的。
And Master Shengyan also said, when you practice deep into Huatou method, you will reach a stage where it can be connected to the silent illumination method. And when you are practicing silent illumination and you find yourself in a dead end, you can use Huatou to save yourself from that dilemma. And vice versa, if you practice Huatou and feel like you're going nowhere, silent illumination could be the solution.
好，那你可以问了。
Please raise your hand if you want to go according to our schedule.
有啊，什么 schedule 是什么？是下午就是。
Then will be lunch. And then after lunch, we have a mindful working. And then after that, we will have the meditation again before we have a lecture. So after mindful working at 12:30, our timekeeper will ring the bell. And then 1:30, we will start meditation, and 1:45 is lecture. Then after that, we will have meditation again. So each lecture, after lecture, there's a period to practice the teaching. And then during this afternoon, we give interviews. So you can request interview by taking your yellow card, which is underneath your cushion out. Then the volunteers will know you need interview. Then he will snap on your ear when it's your turn, and then volunteer will tell you where to go. So you can either, so while you're doing meditating, there will be personal interview going on. And we suggest you maintain the question only regarding the two methods that you were taught. And when you try it, you wanted to talk to the Venerable and see if it's you're using it correctly. That's the main purpose, not your personal problems or anything like that. So that's the schedule. And then the evening will be continuing the Shurangama Sutra's tenet.
那这样可以那个了是吧？可以举手了是吧？下午讲话头哈，大家好像想要比较喜欢默照哈。
We'll be talking about Huatou in the afternoon. Seems like people here like prefer silent illumination.
我看六祖传给七祖，就是怀朗的时候，其实那时候没有叫做华佗，那它相当于华佗，就是七祖是怀朗哦，那个谁啊，这个六祖就问怀朗，你从哪里来？我从好像是松山，是不是？没关系，他从一个地方来嘛。他说怎么来？什么东西让你来啊？我要玩一下布袋戏啊。什么东西让你来？就是说，你这个没办法，这个人嘛，我比如说我从台湾来，对不对？那什么东西让你这一个色身可以从台湾来？那这样子而已就不讲了，后面就没了。然后那一个蓝叶怀朗就参这一个参了3年，细节都没讲那就开悟了那我们参话头就是要参什么？参这只手。
法师 gives a story, a conversation between the 6th patriarch and the 7th patriarch in Chan sect. So it's a dialogue between Huineng and Huailang. This conversation begins with Huineng, the 6th patriarch, asking Huailang, where do you come from? And Huailang said something like, I'm from Songshan. It's somewhere, a place name. And Huineng asked, what I want to ask you is, what brings you here? And we can take this puppet for example. What brings this puppet from Taiwan to here? So this question of what brings you here is the proto Huatou that Huineng, the 6th patriarch, imparted to the 7th patriarch. Back then we haven't had this concept called 话头. But so Hui Lan, the seventh patriarch, investigated this phrase, this question, for more than 3 years, and eventually he became awakened because of this.
那我记得，我出家前曾经去龙安寺上课有一天师父就问我说：“你是谁有点像是西方人还话头很想 Who I am， 对师父就问我你是谁，然后讲我的俗名某某某，师父就再度问我说：你妈妈还没有给你起名字，你是谁？想一想，我是我妈妈的儿子。那师父在乘胜追击说：你妈妈还没有生你的时候，你是谁？他一直什么，一直问，是用不同的方法要去找那个什么，我们这支就是所有的源头，上就是空性华罗就在参这个空性、佛性，或是真我那时候我误解了我误解了，以为师父在问我的前世就他是要问这个源头。那我就答说，我又没有修行，我怎么知道我过去是谁？师父就知道你这个孺子不可教，就 game over 了。
这个是法师您和
跟师父
师父
是吧？我还没有出家之前
法师 told another story, a conversation between himself and Master Shengyan, his master, and before Fa Shi became a monastic, Master Shengyan asked him, "Who are you?" And Fa Shi thought that Master Shengyan is asking his name, so he replied, "I am so and so." And then Master Shengyan asked, "Who are you before your mother gave you the name?" And to which Fa Shi replied, I am my mother's son." Then Master Shengyan asked, "Who are you before your mother gave birth to you?" So it is this series of questioning that delves into the search for origin, or we may call it the nature of emptiness, or Buddha nature, or the true self. And back then, Fa Shi didn't know that such was the intention behind Master Shengyan's questions. And he thought that Master Shengyan is asking his previous lives. So Fa Shi replied, "I wouldn't know who was I before my mom gave birth to me, because I didn't because I haven't practiced to that stage." And it is here that Master Shengyan may thought, "Oh, you are such an unteachable person."
所以话头是非常非常的简单那话头一个大原则就是要探究，就是探究我们本来的面目那你在问的时候，你会有很多妄想会出来，就是说我们会有很多分别心。但你要知道，只要会生灭的，不管是语言或是画面，只要会生灭的都不是，因为你的本来面目是什么？是不生不灭。 那所有的现象都从这个源头出来。那我可以解释，就是说，它不生不灭，还有什么诸法空相，但是呢，它有见闻觉知的能力，就是默照。
So the practice of Huatou is actually very simple. There is a we only have to stick with the great principle, that is to search for our original face. And when we ask this question, when we start such searching, we may give rise to deluded thoughts and
differentiate
differentiate. We may give rise to deluded thoughts and discriminating mind, and it is here that we need to keep in mind that as long as what we see is something perishable, it is something that is arising and disappearing, such as the language or images, those are not our original face. Why? Because our original face is neither rising nor perishing. And from there, from our original face, all phenomena are born. But this original face, we may call it no form, no arising, no perishing, but it has the ability to perceive, and therefore we call it silent illumination.
那我们的话头以前祖师也没有分什么话头的层次啊。那师父后来就把话头分成4个层次。第一个是念话头，第二个是问话头，第3个是参话头，第4个是看话头。
So the previous masters has categorized the practice of Huatou into 4 gradient layers. The first is practice Huatou. The second is ask Huatou. The third is investigate Huatou. And the fourth is to see Huatou.
看应该是 watch.
To watch Huatou.
Recite.
I'm sorry, the correction. The first is to recite Huatou. Second, ask. Third, investigate. Fourth, watch. Originally, we don't have this 4 layers. It is invented by Master Shengyan.
而且有一些禅师的看话头跟书的看话头那一个定义不一样。
And different masters have different definitions for watching Huatou.
那念话头有点是你把话头当成佛号或当成座椅，你没有心想要探究啊，那没有心想要追究啊。那我把它用个比喻啊，譬如说话头你是要找钥匙啊，然后你说我的钥匙呢？我的钥匙呢？你没有想要找，只是这样嘴巴念念念，你也不晓得他是要找钥匙，然后你也不晓得钥匙是什么，也没心要找。那这时候的话头的功能，相当于什么？练话头，让心安定，或是让你念佛，或者念咒语， 让你乱七八糟的妄念变成一个话头的妄念。
So the first stage, the first layer, 念话头, which means reciting 话头, is treating the critical phrase as if it is the Buddha's name or a piece of mantra. And in the recital of 话头, one has no mind, no intention to investigate the meaning behind it. Fa Shi gave another analogy. So reciting 话头 is if one suppose a person tries to find a key and they keep asking, where is the key, where is the key, and they only repeat such inquiry in their mind without actually start searching for the key, and they do not know what the key really is. So the function of 话头 in this case, in reciting it, is only to bring the mind into a tranquil state. It is to gather all the scattered thoughts and put them into one scattered thought.
那接下来问话头，问话头跟练话头的差别是，你想要知道，那我的钥匙在哪里是什么？我说我的本来面目是什么？你想要知道，你有一个想要知道的心，我们叫它问话头。
So the second stage, ask 话头, is where one has the desire to know. So going back to the key analogy, this time the person not only ask where is the key, they also ask what is the key, meaning that they are asking what their original face is, and it is this mind of wanting to know that defines the stage of asking 话头。
那问话头或是后面的参话头，它有点类似在垃圾堆里面要找黄金比如说你怕小偷来偷黄金嘛，你就把黄金丢在垃圾桶，因为小偷大概不会去垃圾桶找黄金。有一天你忘记了，把它当成垃圾丢到垃圾车去了结果你在后面追然后垃圾车到那个什么垃圾场，就把那个垃圾倒在垃圾堆里面。那你知道黄金是什么吗？你就在垃圾堆找这个不是，这个不是，这个不是就是问话头那这是一个比喻另一个比喻，那个垃圾相当于波浪，黄金相当于什么？海水。你正在问的那个心本身就是什么？就是你要找的钥匙，你要找的海水，你要找的佛性，简不简单？有没有非常简单？太简单了嘛，对不对？简单的变成很难。
There's similarities between asking 话头 and investigating into 话头. Fa Shi give an analogy by comparing asking and investigating 话头 to searching for gold in a pile of trash. So suppose a person afraid that their gold would be stolen by a thief, they throw their gold into a trash can and forgot about it. And later, the trash is been taken by the trash truck, and it is only by then that the person realized, oh, my gold is still in that pile of trash. So they started chasing the truck to look for their gold. And in this case, the trash can be compared to the wave that we talked about yesterday, and the gold can be compared to ocean. The mind that the mind by which we're using to ask, to investigate, that mind precisely is the key. That key, that mind is also the ocean, our Buddha nature. Isn't that very simple? It is indeed. It is too simple that it becomes very hard.
所以你在问话头这个言者之道，它太简单了，但是呢，往往不知道背后的道理，这第一个。那第二个，你想要找那个什么，找那个海水，你在波浪找海水，那往往本来应该讲说，我们叫歇即菩提，有没有听过？歇，你就是心停下来，你那个波浪停下来，海水就显现出来嘛。我们叫歇即菩提，有没有？谈话叫 hit 角 hit 角，有没有？没关系，你不懂没关系，你不是台湾人没关系，这边台湾人，这边台湾人请举手，一位、两位、三位啊，就 hit 啊，就是歇就觉悟，但是我们谈话变成丢掉，丢掉也算啦。你发觉只要不是什么，不是海水，只要是波浪你就丢掉，话头也要这样子。
So if we understand the principle of asking Huatou, then the process becomes very simple. But oftentimes we do not know the meaning, the principle behind the practice. So that's the first reason that such endeavor is very difficult. That's our first obstacle, and our second obstacle is that we oftentimes we're misled into the search for the ocean, the search for the ocean itself. This can be an obstacle because in this case, we do not realize that the resting mind is the body.
停下来呀、
The resting,
就是歇息，
the re-
歇即就是了，停下来就是菩提了。
好，谢谢。
the resting mind is the body mind. Right. Right. So the second obstacle, that desire to search for the ocean water, the ocean, that can cause an obstacle because we don't realize that a resting mind is the body mind. And bring it back to the ocean wave analogy, when a wave disappear, the ocean appear naturally without us actively trying to search for it. So in practicing Huatou, it can be compared to a process of discarding the waves, and what remains would be what we search for.
那这一个，其实可以拉到那一个央杰摩罗的故事。央杰摩罗有听过央杰摩罗的故事，请举手。央杰摩罗，一二，没有啊？哦啊？ 对对对，就是把那个手指转成一个花串的那一个，有没有听过？央结摩罗啊，没关系，我讲好了。大概讲一下啦啊。央结摩罗，他跟一个外道学啊，就是学道，那他长得很英俊啊，然后又跑得比马还快啊。那有一天，他的师母啊，他的老师的太太啊，看上他，想要跟他怎么样？那央结摩罗当然不行嘛哈。结果那个师母恼羞成怒，就故意把他的什么衣服撕掉，然后栽赃说央结摩罗对他怎么样。结果他那个老师知道以后，就决定来修理修理央结摩罗。但是央结摩罗力气之大，比那个什么比象还大跑得比马还快，所以他就想了一个办法说，你要成道，要去杀什么？杀1000个人那把每个人的耳朵都剁掉，串成一个花圈啊，央吉摩朗就叫花圈，花串这样子1000个，那你就可以成道那央吉摩当然非常相信嘛，就开始哇，干到人就什么就杀很快就杀到999个那所有的人看到了，赶快把那个铁窗关起来街上没有半个人那他妈妈那时候就出来在找央结摩了。那央结摩罗已经眼睛什么眼什么花什么叫什么眼红的，杀到眼红了，不管了，因为要把他凑成1000个嘛，准备杀他妈妈。这时候佛陀知道他的因缘到了那佛陀就出来了结果他就转要杀那个佛陀，那佛陀是什么？漫步经行走得很慢，但是央结摩罗怎么追都追不上所以我每次上飞机的时候，要坐飞机的时候，不是坐飞机，我们要去那个什么搭飞机，不是有个加速跑道吗？有没有？我每次坐那个我就想到央结摩了他怎么都追不上我们的加速跑道也不快了但是那个佛陀就搭着那种时速100公里的那个加速跑道，但是它很慢很慢。然后这个央结摩罗哇喘得要命，还是追不上就讲说猴啊，你停下来吧。我说我早就停下来了，是你还没有停下来，就是我的心早就什么，就是我只要开我的心早就我们那个去抓的那个心早就停下来了，你还没有停下来而已。他听到这句话就什么，就开悟了。
Ang Ang
安国的拉
Angulimala. Okay. Um, so Fasher told a story in one of the Buddhist canons, I believe, a story of Angulimala. So Angulimala is a student of why is it non-Buddhist practice? Outer path or
outer pass, yeah.
he was he's a student of a non-Buddhist practice, the outer path, and a very handsome person. He can run faster than a horse, and his strength can be compared to elephants. He's the wife of his master became very infatuated with him, and to this and Anguri Mara expressed refusal, and which caused the master's wife to be really frustrated, and she took off her clothes and claimed that Angulimala was trying to rape her. And hearing this, the master wants to give a lesson to punish Angulimala, and because the Angulimala is such a strong person, he, the master couldn't defeat him. So instead, master tells Angulimala that if he wants to become enlightened, he has to kill 1,000 people and cut their ears off. Cut their fingers off and connect all those fingers into a ring. And if he does that, he can achieve enlightenment. So Angulimala followed accordingly, and before long, he killed 999 people, and everyone was afraid of him. They hide themselves away whenever Angulimala appear on the street. And Angulimala's mother tries to find him, and by then Angulimala has become so mad and crazy in killing that he tries to kill his own mother. And at this moment, Buddha, by his supernatural power, knows this and appear in front of Angulimala. And the Buddha now is taking this, the object of Angulimala's killing. So he tries to kill the Buddha. But no matter how fast he run, he couldn't catch up with Buddha when he's trying to chase Buddha, even though the Buddha is walking really slowly. And Angulimala shout to Buddha, please stop. And to which Buddha replies, I have stopped, but you haven't. And hearing this, Angulimala became awakened. And this stopping mind, this stopping means the cessation of our grasping mind.
这个气场那个
飞机跑道吗？我那个
对
right. And whenever 法师 takes a flight and seeing the airplane taking off. Oh.
加速你站着呢，他就跟你带着你跑嘛。
那个叫什么？那个牌子 Yeah. Yeah. You know, in the airports, they have those like flat escalator. All right. So those, so every time Fashi says that, he thinks of this story. Yeah.
Slowly, and no one can learn faster than me. 好，所以问话头，就是要让你那一个往外的心停下来，因为你是往外嘛，所以今天晚上会讲嘛，你往外，那你的心念就不断，但是还是我往内，我想要探究那一个新的源头，只要这个源头比它大，心就停下来了。那停下来以后，你的应该讲说你的波浪停下来，你的海水就什么就显现。 非常简单，有没有？
what
就是
outward. Okay. So the principle of asking Huatou is to stop our outward mind, the mind that is searching outward, because whenever you're searching outward, your thoughts, your deluded thoughts, become continuous. And if we instead turn that mind inward, that is to investigate the origin of our mind, and as long as the mind is bigger than as long as the origin is bigger than our mind would stop. And this can be compared to the waves stopping, and the ocean appear.
所以在问话头那你在问的时候，因为你那个力量一定输给业力，肯定会输给业力，所以你在问的时候，你就会有一些妄念跑出来。那很多时刻我们会被妄念骗了。譬如说，什么是无，什么是本来面目？因为你这个背后的道理也不清楚，问一问以后说，哎呀，我可能不是参禅的料子啊，其实你就被这个被这个想法骗了，可能就换了。还有，你可能会讲说，哇，话都这么难，我干脆什么，我摸找比较好，要被骗了。那是我们常见的，或者说好无聊哦，其实就被好无聊的这个妄念骗了。所以它太简单了，但是太容易比那个我们现在的诈骗集团我们是自己骗自己啦。
When you're investigating, when you're asking Huatou, you're the power of your investigation would be outweighed by the power of karmic forces. This is why when you continue with your asking, deluded thoughts would appear. And we're oftentimes misled and deceived by such deluded thoughts. For example, when you ask, what is Wu, or what is my original face? And because when you ask these questions, you do not know the meaning behind them, you may get frustrated by not getting any answer, and you may think to yourself, "Oh, I'm not a person that is fit for Huatou or fit for Chan meditation." So this is an example of how we can be deceived by our deluded thoughts. Another example is that we might think to ourselves that Huatou is so hard. It is better for me to transition into silent illumination. Or we may think that this is so boring. All these thoughts are examples of deception. The practice of Huatou itself is very simple, but it is easy for us to deceive ourselves in these ways.
那假设你懂，就是什么东西出现，你就知道那个是波浪。他们叫做什么？佛来佛展，有没有听过？魔来魔展，你就继续禅，就说 不要理他们，叫做什么？叫做活来活斩的，不是拿一个刀，啪啪，不是啊。
And if you understand the principle of practicing Huatou, when the deluded thoughts appear, you know that they're just waves. This is where we say, if the Buddha comes, kill the Buddha. If the demon comes, kill the demon. Here, you're not actually using a knife to kill the image. Here, the idea is to ignore those deluded thoughts.
那他真的，你在应该是任何人在参的时候，就你真的抓到了，对不对？和你的参的时候，你第一个你平常用的念头会先出现，你不理它，你再更细的念头又会出现。哦，那假如你长期参，你不知道会发生什么念头哦，但是就是全部都是什么，都是波浪啊，但很难，
很什么？
很难，
很难哦。So when you're practicing Huatou, investigating Huatou, at first it is your daily ordinary thoughts that would appear, and later you will notice more refined thoughts appearing. And if you keep practicing, we don't know what kind of other thoughts may appear, but do keep in mind that all of these are just waves, and it is very hard to do so.
那我们就来讲一下说，真正参话头要，就是谢老和尚讲的哈，要轻轻的提，不要讲什么是无。很多人就是拿这个念头，什么是无，就用这个话头在什么压妄念，那是错的，要轻轻的提。问话头跟参话头这样，参话头是绵密，等一下来讲。对，对，参话头不会了，参话头根本就没有什么妄念了。对，问话头，
那我是翻译。So when asking, we're still at the stage of asking Huatou. When asking, the first thing to know is you bring up your question gently. Don't shout inside of your mind, what is Wu? And if you do so, if you're using a really effective voice to raise the question, you're only using Huatou to suppress your deluded thoughts.
其实西老和尚有讲到，可能大家就很容易的哈、哦。譬如说穿衣服，那你就问穿衣服的是谁？你在走路，你就要问走路的是谁？也就是说，如果让你走路的，让你产生走路的现象的是谁？或者说吵架，你能够产生吵架的功能或现象，那是谁？所以喝水，那喝水的是谁？你都可以问，前面加一个什么？加一个什么？反正前面有个空格，你吃饭就吃饭的是谁？然后小便的是谁？吵架的是谁？啊，跳楼的是谁？但是太啰嗦了啊，那你就什么？就拿一个字来啊，什么是谁？所以有些人他就参不下去了哈，他一参不下去了， 那跟我们小参，我们就会讲啊，参不下去的是谁啊，就解决了。
这是虚云老和尚提倡的一个话题。
对，信老和尚在讲说华佛的背后的道理是这样子。
Master Xu Yun elucidated on a Huatou that the Huatou of asking who is doing a certain action. I'll give more examples. For example, when you're wearing a cloth, you ask Huatou, who is wearing the clothes? When you're walking, who is walking? When you're arguing with someone, you can also ask who is arguing, right? Who is the person that give rise to the phenomenon, to the function of drinking and eating, or even urinating, and so the idea, if we were to summarize this Huatou into one word, that would be who. So constantly bear in mind who is doing something. And for people that cannot persist in investigating Huatou or in asking Huatou, Fa Shi would also advise them to ask the same question: who is the person that cannot persist in investigation of Huatou?
虽然懂归懂啊，但是我举我自己的实例哈。通常我参话头，我大概前后大概有参2-3个月啊，加起来啊，其实是5-6个月，加起来大概2-3个月，那所以是不是很清楚啊？那我的经验是这样子啊，我那时候是问，就是老果禅师讲的叫念佛是谁啊？刚开始你也不晓得在参什么啊，其实就乱参了。参到一个程度以后，我就发觉啊，就是本来是念佛是谁，到最后变成谁，念佛是那个就没有了啊。然后以后再问那个谁这个字，这个文字相也出不来了。就说你问的时候，你会感觉你心一点，最后连这个一点也不见了。但是你知道你在问啊。那我记得在那个时候哈，有一天我看到有个出家人，泰国的出家人，我那时候在泰国，我那时候看到那个出家人，我就知道他只是看我一眼，还是要跟我讲话哈。我那时候就想说，他心通快要出来了哈，可能天眼通什么通都快要出来，就被骗了。还好那时候没有骗，再骗大概几秒钟就化解了。
法师，您说这个话头修了2-3个月，
在泰国，
在泰国的时候，
大概有2-3个月，
事
实际上是5-6个月，因为断断续续的。
Okay. And Fasher shared his personal experience of practicing Huatou when he was in Thailand. He used the method for 2-3 months, and the Huatou that he used was who is the person reciting the Buddha's name. At first, he didn't know how to investigate the Huatou. But after some learning and practicing, he the phrase the phrase "who is reciting the Buddha's name" is only left with "who," so the rest of it has disappeared. So that question of who becomes the only word remaining, and eventually that who, that word, also disappeared, but there's still some, I would say, some agency.
No, still you have a desire to ask, but no word. But after that, no, after that, even you try to ask, the thought disappear. So at that moment,
就是那个文字没有
第一个先文字，第二个是4个字变1个字，只有那个字你要提，但是没有文字，你提，你心里面提，你感觉你有点，到最后你心一点也没有了，你根本就不知道你有没有在提，
但还是感觉在问。
对，感觉问，就变成原来你是你的这个火箭哦，送到太空去了以后，你那个什么再用力没什么用的，但是它还是往前进。
So at first we have who is reciting the Buddha, this whole phrase, and eventually it's dropped into the word who, and and a I don't know how to
and then when the asker no word, but I feel I ask, and
So-
then even ask the thought, not the your inside the mind, you find out your mind is moving and no，不是没有文字，连那个念头要问的念头都感觉不出来了。
So eventually the word disappeared, and even the thought of raising the question disappeared. Raising the question who, raising the word. So that thought also disappeared. And Fashi used the analogy of sending a rocket to the space. All the propeller eventually disintegrate and are discarded. So he compared this process to rocket shooting, and as a result, not as another experience. So after that, after Fa Shi met a Thai monk, and just by looking at him, Fa Shi sort of know that the monk is trying to talk to him. So
No. Try to talk or try to just watch me. I know what he wants.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, when the monk looks at him, he knows what the monk wants.
No, one just look at me or he want to talk. That means I can read her. It's mine.
Right. So Fa thought to himself, "Oh, now perhaps I've gained the supernatural power of understanding other people's mind, and perhaps before long I can master other supernatural powers such as 天眼通. I guess we don't have to get into those terms. And Fa Shi, but almost at the instant, Fa Shi realized that, oh, I am deceived by myself in thinking this way, that I've mastered certain supernatural powers.
勉强了，哎，那武功的跟那个武功的不太一样啊，不过勉强可以讲。啊，没关系，这个其实还有一个例子哦，对我印象非常深刻哦。其实还有好几个例子，我再举个例子哦，因为你们时间不太多。还有个例子，有一天，哇，突然间，哦，我发觉非常累，那个累有点像是什么？我以前3天打麻将没睡觉那种累。然后我想说，哇，糟糕了，是不是我用功用的太猛了啊、哦？那我想说，那这样我得去睡觉，大概至少要睡10个小时啊、哦。那睡了以后，我调整一下我的那个什么，就是用功的力道啊，用比较那种温和的力道啊、哦，所以就转身要去睡觉哦。一转身不见了， 我那时候就有一个感觉，原来一天没睡觉，你是可以一刹那变成很有精神，不需要4个小时。因为是什么？因为很累的、很累的网站，隐藏的很有精神的网站，有没有听懂？一法含摄一切法，听懂吗？没关系，这个反正你换那个后面的解释不用。
您刚才说是，转身睡觉那一部分。
我转身一下，这个3天没睡觉的疲惫不见了
啊。
照理讲，应该这里要睡4个小时嘛。
OK，我就讲到这儿吧。
然后这边对其他又是另一个故事。
If I should give another anecdote, so one day, Fasher feels extremely tired, as if he has been playing mahjong for 3 nights consecutively without sleeping at all. And he thought to himself, am I exerting too much force in my practice? Am I working too hard? And he wants to go to sleep and sleep for at least 10 hours uh, and adjust his practice, the force of his practice accordingly. But at the moment when he turns around and try to go to bed, all the worry, all the tiredness disappeared all of a sudden.
所以那些禅师讲说，当你用功用得很猛的时候，你无耻的那些业事会被批出来，就像我那个是其中一个而已。那你这时候要认清他们前世什么波浪。我讲归讲，你可能都忘记了。
就用功猛的时候，
等一下，没关系，你先这样。
是无始的什么？
你的无始潜藏在你的藏识、你的记忆里面的那些东西，都会被你逼出来。
藏识
就是你的 memory 的，你就比较深的，就是
那也许那不用讲了，也许那讲然后藏识藏识
你潜意识的很深的潜意识都被挖起来了。
First said, if you're working really hard in your practice, your your memory from the past lives, tracing all the way to the beginningless beginning, will be will be forced out, would burst into your consciousness.
So you have a question? 到了对，其实笨话头，你若是懂得，那你知道这些所有的妄念了，继续问。那假设你的话头，你发觉你的话头的力量已经没有了，你就轻轻提。如果它有力量的时候，你就是想要找，不需要再提。带这个眼，那轻轻提，什么东西来你就轻轻提，不是要把妄念除去，而是要在妄念当中找那个海水，就妄念的波浪当中找海水，就这个大原则。好。
所以话头没有力的时候就提一下就这个效果 raise
就提就是 ask， ask 嘛，就是等于是提就是什么 you ask again.
Okay. So when you find yourself find your the force of Huatou is not enough, you can simply raise it again, raise the question again. And the idea of practicing Huatou is not exterminating deluded thoughts, but to find deluded thoughts, or I'm sorry, but to find the ocean amidst waves. So find the ocean among all the deluded thoughts.
好，那现在就是你们要问话头啊。以前师父啊会给4个话头啊，念佛是谁？什么是我的本来面目？然后偷的实质是谁？还有什么是无？这4个。那西方人可能就是常常讲 Who I am ，Who am I？ 我不晓得。
第3个，
其实没关系啦。其实刚开始师父给大家4个，那最后禅49是说通通用什么是无。
第3个
是 original mind， 还是偷的实质是谁？偷的实质，
偷的此时，
偷的这个实质是谁？
So Master Sheng Yan usually give his disciples 4 critical phrases for Huatou. The first one is, who is reciting the Buddha's name? And the second is, what is my original face? And the third is, who is dragging this dead corpse? And the fourth is, what is Wu? And for now, I think we will be using the last one. What is Wu?
那在用的时候，因为无最好的这个无最好是因为你没得思想，没得思考，其他的什么是我的本来面目？你说就是佛性啊，其实它不对啊，那是一句佛法名相。那很多人觉得这可以参难参，可是到最后不管参什么话头，到最后都会 boring。所以你不要 boring 的时候就再换一个，因为那是必经之路嘛。
就换一个，再换一个话筒。
没有，有些人参到最后就是没味道了啊，就想要再换一个有味道的啦。
那是该换还是不该换？
不该换呢？
不该换，因为这是必经之路。
对对。
When you are using the huatou, it is the best that you are free from deluded thoughts, or from thoughts in general, I believe. So if you use huatou such as, what is my original face? You might fall into logical reasoning and give this question certain answers, certain Buddhist concepts like, oh, my original face is my Buddha nature, so on and so forth. And also keep in mind that whatever huatou you use, you will get bored. And people in this moments may think that they want to look for a new huatou, but it is best that we do not change the phrase we use and stick with the single one, and because this is the feeling of boredom is something we have to experience.
因为你比如说你参到最后很无聊，无聊就是你感知的一个波浪啊，不管是什么波浪，说你只要你感知的都不是。其实这个大原则知道了，在问，但是往往会忘记。
大原则是什么？
就是只要被你感知的都不是。大原则是你要那一个没有能所的佛性，没有 object 的佛性嘛。
就是能被感知的都是波浪。
对，能够被感知就是有能感知的我跟所感知的嘛，所以通通不是。 不管它多好多烂。
Okay. So when you feel boredom, bear in mind the principle that whatever comes to our perception are merely waves, and they're waves because they fall into the trap, into the dualism of subject and object, of something being known and something knows. So what we want to do is to discard that dualism.
所以说，如果你问话头，刚开始就是有一搭没一搭，叫做问话头。如果你全部的念头都是这一个，你会到处右边看也是话头，左边看也是话头，往上看也是话头，那这时候叫做参。哦，有时候我们讲说你参叫做疑情，想要知道的变成疑团，因为你怎么看都是那一个念头，被那个念头，被那个想要知道的那个疑情包围了，那就变成疑团。那有一天疑团砰就开悟了哈。那也有可能疑团砰，师父讲说泄气啊。
So at first you would ask the huatou haphazardly, but with your practice, eventually you will be surrounded by huatou, by the question. You look upward, downward, left, right. It's all huatou, and this is where you begin to investigate huatou. You enter the stage of investigating huatou. And this is also where the doubt sensation transform into sphere, into a ball of doubt. And keep yourself in that ball, and eventually and ideally it will burst and you will become awakened, or you will become frustrated.
如果你参破了，这时候再用话头叫做看话头，就开悟以后的用话头叫做看话头。
And if you have this ball of doubt explode, so after the explosion, when you look at the huatou, when you pick up the huatou, we call this stage watching huatou.
所以大家这样，你们听的也是什么迷迷糊糊，大家用了，因为要讲更多，可能也记不起来了，大家故事记得起来而已。
So we have talked a lot. I hope you can remember that.
这样。
Right now, it's about pressing question of exactly how to do it. If you have that question, you may have to know. If you want to know enough, take away the individual personal interest. You can have different questions.
对。
Is there conflict? Okay, can you do this? Or can you repeat it so we can?
Okay. So the question was, is there a conflict between?
We talk about all we have. What is the womb or what, but also Venerable also mentioned we can ask who is talking now, who is drinking water, or who is eating, who is walking. So it's I kind of confused, what's the difference? How do we use what who and what who is walking or talking?
Right. Right. Well, if I'm understanding you correctly, the question is about the potential conflict between different phrases, different critical phrases.
Okay, her question is earlier Guo-Xing Fashi mentioned Master Tai Xu gave a method. Xu, I'm sorry, did I say Tai Xu? Xu. It's a method is like if you're drinking, say who's drinking, who's sleeping, and all that. And later, he said that our teacher, Master Shen Yan, instead of giving this 4, he reduced it into 4. And then in the end, ask everyone just do 1, which is what is Wu. So Tai Ling's question is, what is the difference between the Master Xu Yun's method compared to Master Sheng Yan just asked you to do 1?
它两者都是一样的，那个无，就实际上就是佛性。那谁也是佛性？那用一个你比较单纯。那师父曾经告诉我，其实他最早的时候，他是没有固定的话头，但是他都指向什么同样的目标。但他因为他懂，所以说你用什么都 OK。那不懂的话，我们就是乖乖的用那一个字。其实你说什么是无哦，那说的是谁？两者都是迈向这个谁无都是迈向你这个什么 original 会都你的佛性，所以你懂的话完全一样。
Fasher replies that all the questions are of the same nature. The Wu in what is Wu and Hu in who is reciting the Buddha's name, both points to our Buddha nature. And at first, Master Sheng Yan didn't assign any set critical phrases to his disciples. Because he sees that all the phrases are pointing to the same direction, and it is okay to use whichever. But if you don't understand this commonality between different phrases, then it's better for you to stick with one phrase or one word.
OK 的，好，你换一下。
用中文。So the question was when we practice using Huatou method, do we just recite the question in our mind, or is there something? All right. So
那你要讲中文吗？不用了。天懂啊，就是说，我们本来就是要知道，那你一直在问，就是我刚才讲说，你想要知道，你就不需要再问，因为那个力量还在，然后那个力量你觉得消失也在问，不是一直问的话，就有点类似。我要找钥匙，你说钥匙在哪里？钥匙在哪里？钥匙在哪里？你根本就不是要找钥匙。那话头也是一样，你就是我的钥匙在哪里？当你在找的时候，你不知道我的钥匙在哪里？我的钥匙在哪里？这样的时候不需要嘛，对不对？那不懂的人，他们就拼命练。那我们那个练话头，那个话头只是要找，不是那个要常常练那个话头，而是你要想要找的心，你想要找的心要一直持续，不是 keep asking， 就 keep you want to know， 就你知道它到底是什么那个心，而是想要找的心。我们这个话头只是让你那个想要找的心一直什么绵密， 这样清楚吗？
Fashu replies that if as long as you keep your intention of knowing, it is not necessary to keep asking the question. When you feel like that intention, the force of that intention is slowly dying down, then perhaps you can raise the question again. Comparing to the person looking for the key, it doesn't help them to keep asking, where's the key, where's the key? It's the same for our Huatou practice. As long as we can sustain that intention of knowing, then we do not have to recite the question continuously.
可以了。